Hello, everyone. Good morning, and welcome to another webinar series by SPE Lagos. Checking up on everyone. I hope we're all doing well and we're all staying safe in this current climate. Welcome once again to this webinar series, and today we'll be looking at our health goals, how to meet our health goals for 2021. I don't know what our health goals are. I know some of my own health goals, so I'm hoping that today we'll be getting some insights from our speaker who has graciously offered to share some strategies with us on how we can meet our health goals. But before we go further into the discussion of today, first, my name is Adaeze Ifezulike. I'm the Special Projects Chairperson for SPE Lagos, and I will be moderating today's session on behalf of the entire SPE Lagos board members. A brief little bit on safety. I would like us to please stay alert as we listen to today's webinar series. Please, if you are driving, you're not advised to participate whilst driving. We'd like you to wash your hands frequently, especially in the current climate that we found ourselves in, and would like you to avoid large gatherings. As we're aware, it cannot be overemphasized that COVID-19 is real. If you're still in a place of doubt, please recheck your mindset around it, because at the end of the day, our mindset drives our actions. So all that I've put together on the screen there is something that we all need to be aware of. If you feel sick, please do not hesitate to contact NCDC on the number written right there on the screen. And it's also very important that to know that your mindset drives your actions, whether it's to protect yourself or to protect your friends and your loved ones. So please, let's remain vigilant as we go through the pandemic season. Now, to introduce our speaker, our guest speaker for today is Dr. Adaeze Ifezulike. She's an international keynote speaker and an accomplished author, marriage therapist, and award-winning health advocate. She is widely recognized as the go-to source person on health lifestyles and obesity management. She's one of UK's pioneering lifestyle medicine physicians and has featured on the BBC Truth About Fat program. She has more than 22 years experience as a medical doctor under her belt, and she has been invited to speak to organizations across the world, inspiring people to lead healthier, happier, and more productive lives through lifestyle change. Without much further ado, I would like to welcome Dr. Adaeze to take us through on some of the strategies that we can take to meet our health goals for 2021. I for sure am looking forward to this particular presentation, because I'm sure most of us have struggled with our health goals and lifestyle, especially in the period where we've managed to work from home. We're not living active lives as we used to. So for me, I'm looking forward to this session to learn more on how to achieve an active health goal for 2021. So Dr. Adaeze, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Adaeze. Thank you. Wow, it's wonderful that we're here on a Saturday. I'm so grateful for everyone who has tuned in. I mean, you could be doing something else, but you're here today. That tells me you're really passionate about your health. So thank you so much for joining us today. Can I check that you can hear me okay? Elsie, can you give me a thumbs up? And you can see me as well, can you? Oh, excellent. Very good. So, audience, thank you for being here. I would like to know where people are tuning in from. So please drop in the chat. Just say, I am Joseph. I'm listening in from Lagos. I am Amina. I'm listening in from Australia. Just let me know where you're tuning in from. I would love to read all the chat to see what's happening. And the other thing I would like you to do is to let me know what you're working on. What health goals are you working on? You might be working on your skin or your weight or your blood pressure. Just let me know what health goals you're working on. I would love to know that. So I'm really glad you've been able to all tune in today. It's wonderful. It's freezing here in Aberdeen. The snow is terrible, but I'm glad that we can get this done. Because of the internet, there's no limitation. We can be in different parts of the world and still meet up. So what I intend to do today is to give us actionable steps to help us meet our health goals. So it's a shocking reality that only about 8% of people ever accomplish their goals. A lot of people just do not meet their goals. And can I just check that you're seeing my slide, Elsie? Okay, because I've just changed it. I don't know if it's changed onto the next one where you are.
Yes,
Good, excellent.
Yes, it has.
Right, so a goal is simply what you're focused on. It's just your aim, what you're really putting all your energy towards. That's simply what a goal means, okay? And at the end of January, you know how people start the year with, oh, I'm going to work on my goals, I'm going to do this. Only a quarter, 25% of people still continue on their goals after the first month. That is a really poor number. So there's a problem. Why are people not meeting their goals? Why do they have all these good intentions but never actually meet it? And that's why meetings like this are crucial to help us find what the problem is and address it. And this is a good time because it's beginning of the year. I know January has gone and February, we're already in the second, third week, but you can still make something of this year. You can still make 2021 your best year ever in terms of your health. So let's see. I would like you to meet my patient, okay? This is Mrs. Ojo, and we're all going to be privileged to share her journey today. She's a 49-year-old lady who is recently divorced and has 2 teenage daughters. So she's on a lot of medications. She's on metformin and glimepiride for her diabetes. She's on amlodipine and Exforge for her blood pressure. Maybe some of these tablets will sound familiar to you out there listening. She's on sertraline for her depression. She's on omeprazole and Gaviscon because she gets terrible heartburns anytime she lies down or after eating. She's on naproxen and paracetamol for her joint pains. She takes Buscopan and loperamide for her irritable bowel syndrome. Her bowel is never settled. She's on sumatriptan and propranolol for migraines. She gets terrible, debilitating migraines. So this dear lady is on 36 tablets every day. And she said to me, I need help. I can't continue like this. So she is battling with hypertension, with migraines, with depression, with diabetes, with heartburn, with irritable bowel syndrome. She's had a scan recently and she was found to have what we call fatty liver. So with all these things surrounding her, she felt she had to do something. So we had a chat. And I said to her, why do you think it's important to work on your health now? And that is a question I'm asking every one of you listening to me. What is the real reason? So I said to her, what is your why? Because it's your why that will provide you fuel for your journey. It's your why that will help you to keep up with your goals so that you'll be part of the 8% of people that actually achieve their health goals. And she said to me, well, I want to stop all these medications. It can't be safe to be taking all these medicines. I said, well, they are safe, so that's not a good reason. What is your reason for wanting to work on your health? And she said, well, I went for my old girls association and everyone was looking fit and trim. I was the only one looking fat, I felt like their mom. Meanwhile, these are my classmates. So I said to her, well, that's not a strong reason because you don't have to go for the meetings. If you feel that way, then you simply don't go for those meetings, so that won't be a strong why to drive you to where you want to get to. So I said to her, why? Why? Dig deep, dig deep. That's what I'm saying to you on this webinar. What is your real reason? What is that why that is strong enough to help you keep up with your goals? And eventually she said to me, actually, doctor, I'm 49 years old now. My mom died when she was age 50, and I'm afraid I'll die at 52 the way I am going. And I said to her, yes, that is it. That is the real reason that you want to work on your health. You have 1 year to make these changes. That is it. So we found the fuel for your health journey. So I said to her, for any journey to be successful, the first thing about goals is that goals have to be specific. They have to be specific. So I said to her, you have all these problems. You're suffering from hypertension, diabetes, irritable bowel, migraines, depression. Your husband has just left you. You're depressed. Which of these are we going to work on? So you, the audience, I hope we have some fast fingers here. Which one do you think we can work on with this lady? Because we can't tackle everything. For goals to work, they have to be specific. So go ahead and type in the chat. What do you think? Should we start with her diabetes or her joint pains, or where do we start from? And that brings us to what I call the weakest link. What is the weakest link? That is the condition we address. Once we can tackle that condition, every other thing comes tumbling down. That is the weakest link. Okay? So whatever your health challenges are, you need to find the one that you can focus on, because once you get that one, once you hit it right, every other, all the illnesses are often intertwined, you see. I'm letting you into a secret. They're all related. If you're diabetic, it's related to hypertension, it's related to osteoarthritis. They're all connected. So we find the weakest link, we address it, every other thing falls in line. The elephant in the room refers to the specific thing you should be working on, but you're ignoring it. People say to me, oh, doctor, I want to work on my skin. My skin is terrible. But then I see them, they never drink water. They never eat green leafy things that will improve their skin. So the elephant in the room in that case is their poor diet, not the skin. The skin problem is just a manifestation of the of the underlying health condition. Or people say to me, oh my goodness, my knees are killing me, doctor. You know, we have bad knees in my family. My mom had bad knees, my grandma had bad knees. And the elephant in the room is the fact that they're all overweight. So you listening to me in this webinar, what is the elephant that you need to tackle? Every other thing is a symptom. So I said to her, what we need to work on is your weight. Once we get your weight under control, everything else will fall in line. So that's what I mean by goals being specific. That is the one sure way you can have of achieving your health goals. The next thing is it has to be measurable. You have to have a way of measuring your progress. And I said here, inches and pinches. There, Mrs. Ojo, those jean trousers you're struggling to get into, when you start being able to get into them easily, that means you're losing inches from around your tummy, from around your waist, your hip line. So the inches and pinches are part of the measurements. Your weight, choose a day in the week, I said to Mrs. Ojo, maybe a Monday or a Friday, whichever day you want. First thing in the morning, you wake up, empty your bowels, remove your clothing, stand on your scale, and send me the readings every single Friday or Monday, or whatever day you choose. So if you want to work on your health goals, you have to have a way of measuring it. Some people say to me, I have high blood pressure, and I say, what's your reading? They say, oh, we measured it about 6 months ago. I'm like, how do you know if the blood pressure is getting better or worse? There has to be a way of measuring it. And I said to Mrs. Ojo, some days you may stand on the scale and your weight hasn't, maybe you've just lost 0.0001 kilogram. Send it in. Send it in. Forward is progress, no matter how small. Just ask the snail. The snail will tell you that it's that 0.0 centimeter that gets him to where he's going. The important thing is don't stop, don't give up. Don't feel that the progress is so small that there's no point working on it. I said, send in your weight, every single weight without fail. While men slept, I don't know if you've heard this expression. The good book says that while men slept, the enemy came and sowed tares. That means that when you don't monitor things, when you're not keeping an eye on the numbers, your blood sugar, you don't know what is happening. You've not measured it in the past 6 months. If you're not measuring anything, it's likely to be going the wrong direction. Please write that down. If you don't keep an eye on your numbers, whether it's your blood pressure, your blood sugar, or your weight, or whatever it is, if there's no way of measuring it, it is very, very likely going the wrong way. Okay, and that's why you suddenly hear, oh, this person collapsed. Yes, we know he had high blood pressure, but he was fine now. I saw him the other day. What was the blood pressure doing? Has it maybe been creeping up gently over this time and no one noticed? So you have to have a way to measure your goals to make sure things are keeping right. Okay. Now, goals, I said to Mrs. Ojo, your goal has to be attainable. You have to know in your mind that you can achieve this goal. If not, we're wasting our time. So I said to her, do you know anybody who has lost weight? Anyone who has done what you've done? And she said, oh, yes. In fact, this is my schoolmate. She used to be so chubby when we were young. But I saw her recently and she was so slim and fit. So I know if she can do it, I can do it too. And I said to her, you know, there was a time it was thought to be impossible that anybody could run a mile in anything less than 4 minutes. It was thought to be impossible. People tried it, but for some reason, nobody could do it below 4 minutes until a man called Roger Bannister did it. Roger Bannister was able to run a mile in less than 4 minutes and broke the world record for that. But the point of my story is that once he did it, afterwards, so many other people began to do it. People realized, wow, it can be done. It can be done. So that limit, just breaking through that limit seemed to give people an incredible power to be able to do it. And so many other people broke that limit. Now, Mrs. Ojo, you're going to have to stay safe in your quest to lose weight, okay? Measurable weight loss, healthy weight loss, medically safe weight loss is 0.5 kilogram to 2 kilograms within a week, okay? We're not expecting you to lose more than 2 kilograms in a week. We don't want you to do anything excessive, you understand? You're either losing 0.5 kilogram steadily every week to get to your goals. That's quite safe. Or even losing up to 2 kilograms. So for you listening, 0.5 kilogram to 2 kilogram loss in a week is medically safe. So Mrs. Ojo, what are you going to aim for? Do you want to be trying to lose 0.5 kilogram every week, or 1 kilogram every week, or 2 kilograms every week? And she said, I think 1 kilogram every week will be a good deal. So we're going to do this over 12 weeks. So your aim is to lose 12 kilograms in 12 weeks. And I said, okay, fine, let's see how we get on with that, you know, because she knew it was possible, it was attainable. And then I said to her, Mrs. Ojo, your goal has to be relevant to you. If you're listening to me on this webinar, you haven't succeeded on your goal, your health goal, because it hasn't been relevant enough to you. With relevance goals, focus. I want you to ask the woodpecker. We know the woodpecker bird. Oh my goodness, this bird can peck at a tree the whole day. It just goes on that spot. Bam, 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 bam. It can do that for hours on end. But that is the power of focus. Before the day ends, that woodpecker has carved out a nesting site for its young ones. The power of focus, no matter how tough the tree is. So, Mrs. Ojo, if you focus on these goals, you will meet them. Okay? Baiting the fish. When you go to fish, you have to put worms on your net. You know, you have to put something that will attract the fish. What is going to keep you working on your goals, Mrs. Ojo? I want you to get a picture of yourself when you were slim and fit, you know, maybe on your wedding day, when you were looking your best. Get that picture, enlarge it, and put it where you see it. You will see it every single day. That will be the bait. That will be what will keep you working on these goals. The sugar and ants principle. For those in tropical countries, you know that if you put some sugar down, it's just a matter of time the ants will gather there. Mrs. Ojo, if you focus on your goals, you will be surprised that all you require to meet it will come. You start reading, you find yourself reading about weight loss, reading about healthy living, reading about exercise. You will just find all the resources you require to get to your goals drawn to you in a weird way. Resources will come your way to help you meet your goal, but you have to make sure you stay focused on those goals. And then I said, Mrs. Ojo, how much time do you have to do this? We have to put a time, because a goal with no endpoint, if there's no way of knowing the endpoint, it can never be achieved, because you won't even know when you've arrived. So how much time are we going to put this to? And she said, we can do this in 3 months, over 12 weeks. And the importance of this is that the tomorrow of yesterday is your today. A lot of you on this webinar, you've often said, I will start tomorrow. I will start tomorrow. Maybe you're listening to me now. You're saying, I will start tomorrow. Well, the I will start tomorrow of yesterday is today. You understand? The only time you truly have is now. The power of now. You've got to start now. Don't procrastinate. Don't keep delaying. Don't keep pushing it backwards. I will do it. I will do it. Just get on it. And that's why the time, putting a time is so important, because it gives you good stress. When you realize, wow, I have this appointment with Dr. Adaeze in 12 weeks' time, it makes you step out to do what you promised yourself you would do. It pushes you. And that is a good form of stress, the one we call eustress. So, Mrs. Ojo, we're going to reconstruct your health block by block. What do I mean by that? When you're building a house, there are foundations to your health. There are foundations to your house. Health is not a mistake. It's a planned and organized way of living that ensures that things work well for you. There are what we call pillars of health. There are pillars that support your health, Mrs. Ojo. And the first pillar I want to talk about to you is sleep. I know many of you would have thought I would start with food, but sleep is so important because it's the first pillar that people dispense with. It's the one they feel is optional. In fact, I have to eat, but sleep, if I have time, I will sleep. However, sleep is not optional. It's a mandatory action. It's something that the body needs. I love this quote. It says, your future depends on your dreams, so go to sleep. And I want to say that your health depends on your sleep. How many of you on this webinar sleep up to 7 hours a day, a night? If you sleep up to 7 hours, I would like to know, drop in the chat. I want to know how well you're doing with your sleep. How many hours do you sleep a night? Let's know. Just drop it in the chat. Let's have a look. And so, sleep starts in the morning. What do I mean by that? Every action you take during the day will affect your sleep. That's what I mean. You might eat something during the day that keeps you bloated and windy and with terrible heartburn. That is going to affect your sleep. You're not going to be able to sleep well. Selective blindness refers to the things you watch, the things you see during the day. They all have an effect on your sleep, Mrs. Ojo. When you watch that WhatsApp video they sent to you, or beheadings going on in Afghanistan or wherever, Mrs. Ojo, is going to affect your sleep. You have to be selective with what you watch if you want to have good sleep. So you can have an 8 p.m. rule of thumb, so that after 8 p.m. you just do not watch horror films or anything at all that will get your heart pounding, makes you feel so unsettled, because it will reflect in your sleep. In your sleep, you're going to find people beheaders chasing after you, So save yourself that stress. Mind what you watch. Drinks matter. What you drink matters, Mrs. Ojo. Beyond 2 p.m. and in fact, maximum 4 p.m. I know you love your coffee, but please don't take any more coffee. It will affect your sleep. It will affect your drinks will affect your sleep. If you take lots of sugary drinks, you're going to be up all night peeing. If you drink so much in the evenings, especially fizzy sugary stuff, you're going to be up all night. It will affect your sleep. You're aiming for good quality sleep, because during sleep, guess what? There's a lot of rubbish mopped out from your system. That's when the body actually goes into cleaning up mode, removing all the toxins, all the rubbish That is when that happens. New cells are regenerated. Your body is cleansed during sleep. So sleep is so important, Mrs. Ojo. Now, the next pillar of health I want to talk about is relaxation. Relaxation. I know you're a busy woman, you're a top manager, Mrs. Ojo, but you must make time to relax. So many people's brains are like these white and black circles. They just keep, your brain is always on the move. Move, 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 move. I love this quote. It says that almost everything will work again if you unplug it for a few minutes, including you, Mrs. Ojo. If you unplug yourself for a few minutes, you will work better. So one of the things you can do is to watch the thinker. What do I mean by that? Your brain is constantly thinking. It's always on the go. Your mind is moving, moving, moving. Now, try this. When something happens and you just catch yourself, step outside of yourself and watch your brain thinking. It's an amazing thing. I want you to realize that your thinker, your brain is not you, okay? You need to be in control of it, not the other way around. Some people are possessed by their thinking apparatus. They should be in charge, but the thinker just goes on and on and on and on. Their brains are just a whirlwind of thinking, thinking, thinking. When something happens next time, Mrs. Ojo, for example, someone upsets you, and just watch as your mind, your thinker gets upset, gets irritated, and starts talking. That's how they're always saying this. Now step outside and actually watch your thinker. Smile at it. Laugh at it. Say, you, this little child, it's okay. Calm down. And just watch your system just relax. More laughs and more laughs lead to more life. Mrs. Ojo, when last did you watch a comedy? When last did you just relax and just watch something that doesn't have to do with your work or with running around? Just something that you just laugh and forget yourself for a moment. Breathe in space. Take some time to do some deep breathing, Mrs. Ojo. Just imagine that when you're taking a breath, you're trying to get that breath right down to your little toe. And breathe out again. Take the next breath and take it right down to your next toe. What you're doing is making space in your thinking, in your mind, separating yourself from the incessant chatter of your brain. And that causes you to relax. And remember, when we spoke, Mrs. Ojo, when I did your blood pressure, it was 187 over 102. It was so high. And I said to you, we're going to repeat this. Just sit down and breathe in and out. Imagine that you're in a world without coronavirus, that you're on a beach somewhere, you're relaxed and all is well with your world. And you did that for about 5 minutes and we did the blood pressure again. And your blood pressure had dropped right down to 139 over 86. It had dropped right down just because of 5 minutes of relaxation. Imagine what will happen, Mrs. Ojo, if you do this relaxation 3 times in the day, 4 times, just get your system used to that. Your health will dramatically improve. Easy does it. Learning not to get too agitated by anything. Easy does it. I recently went for, this is my personal experience, I went for a procedure and the gynecologist was trying to do what she was doing and she just wasn't getting anywhere. And I was so tensed up. I didn't realize that my muscles were also tight because I was in a bit of discomfort, and as she poked and prodded, and she wasn't just managing to get it done. And then I suddenly caught myself and said to myself, relax. It was just like a balloon had been deflated. My body just relaxed. And I just put a picture of her getting the job done. The gynecologist, I put a picture of her getting the job done before me. And honestly, she said to me, let me try again. I said, go ahead. And within 30 seconds, what she had been trying for 15 minutes, she got it done. Simply because I took a moment to relax myself. Can I check that my slides are moving?
That's correct. It's
okay.
Moving.
So what can you see? Is that relaxation?
Indeed.
Okay, so we're moving on now to the next pillar of health, physical activity. We're trying not to call it exercise because some people are allergic to exercise. So we're saying it's physical activity, okay? I love this quote, Mrs. Ojo. Today, I will love myself enough to exercise. Do you love yourself enough to exercise, Mrs. Ojo? Now, my first tip there is body up for success. When people come to the hospital, maybe they have broken a finger, they've broken one finger. Do you know what we do? We actually just strap that finger to the next finger, what we call body strapping. So we strap them up together, and within a few weeks, that broken finger heals up because it is bodied up, it is tied up to another one, another finger for support. So, Mrs. Ojo, who can support you? Do you have a friend who is eager to work on their health as well? Because you're going to need such a person to push you, to encourage you to do what you need to do. Now, 30 minutes rule of thumb, I want you to aim to exercise for at least 30 minutes. So whether it's a fast walk you're doing, you put your timer for 15 minutes and you go fast walk for 15 minutes. The timer rings, you start coming back. So that's 30 minutes done, okay? Or you decide you're going to dance for 30 minutes. Put on the timer. Make sure you get, because if you don't put on the timer, I can assure you that after 5 minutes of dancing, you feel you have done a lot of exercise. But you need to be objective. Time yourself, okay? Obviously, if you don't have all the time in the world, you can break it up into 10-minute slots. Do 10 minutes exercise here, 10 minutes here, 10 minutes here. But the aim is for 30 minutes of exercise on most days of the week, aiming for at least 5 days of the week. Okay? Now, Mrs. Ojo, what is enjoyed gets done. So tell me, when you were young, what was the exercise you loved doing? Oh, doctor, I used to love skipping. Skipping. In fact, I did this skipping competition. I love skipping. I said, Mrs. Ojo, then I want you to go back to that. Because what is enjoyed gets done. I know you see people running, you see people lifting weights, and you envy them. But you have to do what you enjoy, because that's the only way you can actually get some exercise done. And actually, doctor, I used to love to dance. You need to see me on the dance stage. I said, Mrs. Ojo, then maybe it's dancing that you need to get back to now. Okay? Just find what you love and get it done. Stand for life. Mrs. Ojo, how many hours do you sit at work? You know, with this pandemic, we're all seated for hours on end doing our meetings. Doctor, in fact, I sit for 8 hours. I only get up to go to the bathroom and back. I'm seated almost the whole day. Now, Mrs. Ojo, I want you to invest in a standing desk. What's that, doctor? It's just a desk, Mrs. Ojo, that has a lever. When you press on it, it raises the table up. So you can actually stand. It raises your computer. Everything is raised. So you stand for 10 minutes during your work day. You're still doing your meeting. You're still reading your report, but you're actually standing. Guess what? Standing is good exercise. Standing gives you a chance to move your leg muscles. So you can find out that in that 8 hours that you're seated, you stand 10 minutes every hour, 10 minutes every hour. So that's 80 minutes of standing. Your health will dramatically improve, Mrs. Ojo, if you try this, okay? So you on the webinar, maybe you're doing endless meetings, invest in a standing desk. Go to Amazon, or even your local carpenter can measure and do something like that. It's a simple device, but it can be life-changing for your health if your job is sedentary. Okay, so I'm going to talk briefly on mental health. It's another pillar of health. It's a huge one. I actually do a full teaching on mental health, so I'm just going to touch this briefly. Okay, so your mental health requires that you do things differently. Okay, there was an interview. Someone was being interviewed about a pandemic similar to what we had, and she was the only one who survived from her family. You know, there were so many deaths, there were so many things happened, and they asked her, "How come you survived despite all that has happened to you?" And she said, "I chose to do things differently." Mrs. Ojo, what can you do differently for your mental health? Don't let it matter. What are those things you get yourself so worked up about? If you drop dead today, all those things won't matter anymore. Because when you let things matter, that's where your energy goes, okay? Whatever you focus on takes your energy. And I need you to get your energy back to work on your health. So don't let things matter. Yes, this person said this, said that. Once you decide that it doesn't matter, that is it. You don't put your energy in it. The 5 people principle. Mrs. Ojo, who are the 5 people who are closest to you? Doctor, definitely my 2 children, my mom, my brother, and my schoolmate Alice will be friends forever, right? So Mrs. Ojo, I want you to make a commitment that these 5 people, you will contact them every single week without fail. You on this webinar, who are those? Take a moment to write down the 5 people who are closest and dearest to you and commit to meeting up with these people, whether it's by phone or by Zoom. That will dramatically help your mental health. Nurture your relationships. Nurture your relation. Everybody can be your friend, but if you have 5 good people you can connect with and talk with and share with, you're a wealthy person. You know, it's great for mental health. Mirror to attract, Mrs. Ojo. You keep telling me about the terrible friends you have and the anguish they have caused you. What are you mirroring? If you want nice friends, you've got to be nice. You've got to show people love and friendship. Okay? So when you mirror these things, that's what you attract back. The coin principle. People always coming to tell you, this person said, that person said. A coin has 2 sides, Mrs. Ojo. Stop listening to one side. If someone comes to tell you that Adaeze said this, phone Adaeze and say, what? You need to listen to both sides. The coin principle will help your mental health. Okay, the listening ear. You know, some of us are not used to counselors or psychologists. These are experts in listening. I say to people, you're going through all this distress. Why don't you speak to a professional counselor? And the person says, oh, I don't like to talk to people about my personal stuff. And I'm like, they're not people, they are professionals. Speak to a counselor. The good thing is that your workplaces, a lot of the workplaces, I know SPE Lagos, I assume you have a mental health section that your staff can go to and speak. It's supposed to be confidential. You will never hear your matter anywhere else. These are trained professionals. But when you unburden your heart to a trained counselor, oh my goodness, your mental health can take a dramatic turn. A lot of people bottle up things and feel, well, it's unnatural to share with a stranger. But the stranger is trained to listen to you and will help you. You might need a psychologist. A psychologist works on the way your mindset is. Maybe there's a kind of mindset you have that is making you unhappy. The psychologist will help you dig out this mindset. It may even be from your childhood, a pattern of thinking from your childhood that is keeping you miserable. Once that pattern is identified by a psychologist, oftentimes you can't do it by yourself, you need a professional. Once that happens, you'll be amazed how happier you will become. So the listening ear, find out what you have available in your place, counselors, psychologists, and so on. Don't overcomplicate things, Mrs. Ojo. Simple does it. Keep things simple and your life will be simple. Me first is good sense. Learn to take care of you, Mrs. Ojo. I know your teenage children are all over. They want this, but you have to take care of yourself. You know, in a plane, they say you put on your own face mask first. You put on your oxygen first before you help any other person. So, Mrs. Ojo, look after you and your mental health will take a dramatic turn for the better. Now, food and drink. This is a major pillar of health, so I'm going to spend a bit more time on that. And I want to give you a handy mantra, Mrs. Ojo. Now, say after me, if you can't burn it, don't eat it or drink it. Mrs. Ojo, if you can't burn it, don't eat it or drink it. Always bear that in mind, and I'll come back to it. The game changer F word. Fasting is great. It's a major breakthrough in health. Learning to fast, we'll talk some more about that. Color matters. If you're eating any meal, look at your plate. If it just has 1 or 2 colors, that meal is unlikely to be healthy. Your jollof rice and your meat is 2 colors, okay? But if you can cut in some slice of cucumber into that rice, or put in some steamed carrot, that's a 3rd color. Even put in some lettuce, that's a 4th color. You're making, the more colors you add to your meal, the more likely that that meal will be healthy. Okay, 60% is huge. That means that our bodies, your body is made up of 60% water, Mrs. Ojo. Did you know that? And in fact, parts of your body that you think are hard, like things like your bones are made up of 30% water. So your body is a major, a stream of water, 60%. That means you need to drink to support your body. And a handy way to remember is 60%, think about 6 glasses of water every day, Mrs. Ojo. Can you do that? And one way you can do that is to make sure you have some lovely looking bottles, because when you see your lovely water bottle, you're likely to be reminded to take a sip. Invest in a beautiful looking bottle, beautiful water glasses, that when you see attracts you, makes you want to, want to drink. So that your aim is for at least 6 glasses of water every day. And for your size, Mrs. Ojo, you should be aiming for about 8 glasses every day. You on this webinar, most adults need about 8 glasses of water. Okay, so can I check again that my slides are moving? For some reason, it's not moving on my other phone here.
Oh, yes,
what can you
yes, we
see now?
can. Yes, it can. It's moving. We're seeing be intentional.
Excellent, excellent. Great. So, Mrs. Ojo, part of healthy living, getting to your goals, is to be intentional. I talked about that mantra. I said to you, if you can't burn it, don't eat it. So, that Coke you're holding, Mrs. Ojo, is 140 calories. You're going to have to walk for 23 minutes at 4 miles per hour to burn that Coke, Mrs. Ojo. Are you ready for the walk? 23 minutes. I can't do that, doctor. My knees will be sore. So, Mrs. Ojo, maybe reconsider having the Coke. What do you think? And that chips you love to eat during your movie, when you're watching those Nigerian Nollywood movies, you know, that bag of chips, they had only 28 chips inside, but they're a whopping 560 calories. And you will have to dance for 57 minutes to burn that small packet of chips. Are you ready for the dance, Mrs. Ojo? 57 minutes of dance, I can't manage. So would you consider having half a bag of the chips, Mrs. Ojo? That is what I mean by being intentional, thinking through what you want to put in your body. If you can't burn it, or if you can't burn it, don't eat it or drink it. Now, visceral fat is another one I want to talk about, Mrs. Ojo. Inside the body, there are spaces. Between the organs, between your intestines, there are lots of spaces. As you make more fat cells, this fat begins to be tucked into those empty spaces in the body, so that by the time someone is visibly fat, they already have a lot of fat tucked into the spaces in the body. This is what we call visceral fat, Mrs. Ojo. It is hidden fat. It is belly fat. So how are we going to get to that fat, Mrs. Ojo? Because that fat is not harmless. It's not just some yellow tissue lying there. It's an active organ secreting hormones that are keeping itself going. It's like a rebellious kingdom inside you that is making hormones to make more fat to keep itself going. So how are you going to get rid of it, Mrs. Ojo? You know, in the past, just imagine that you had this storehouse of firewood, okay? You use the firewood to light your house, to make your meals, to heat up your house. Yes, so you have this storehouse of firewood. And then let's imagine that a good government comes along, like Buhari's government, for example, and provides electricity everywhere. So now, Mrs. Ojo, you have electricity in your house. At the click of a button, there's lights everywhere, clean electricity. What is going to happen to your storehouse of wood, Mrs. Ojo? You're not going to use it anymore, isn't it? It's going to be there because guess what? You now have electricity. So that is what happens with your belly fat. As your belly fat is equivalent to this, your storehouse of firewood, okay? Now, your normal food, the food you eat every day, is equivalent to the electricity. The body will use fuel from the food you're eating every day. It will not touch its stored fat. It will not touch the visceral fat as long as you're having your regular food. Does that make sense, Mrs. Ojo? Can you see why your fat stores are still there? Why? Because the body has some regular energy supply, so it doesn't have to tap into your fat stores. Now, an assignment for you, Mrs. Ojo, and for everyone on this webinar. I want you to write down the name of Angus Barbieri. Write it down, please, and then go and read up about this fascinating gentleman. on Wikipedia or somewhere else. He was a Scottish man. You know, I'm speaking to us from Scotland. So this man was morbidly overweight. When we say morbidly, it means he's a walking dead person. And they had tried everything to help him to lose weight. So the doctor said, we're going to fast you for 2 weeks, okay? But we're going to monitor you. You're still going to be drinking your liquids, keep drinking, okay? You can drink your tea, you can drink your coffee, but no sugar or milk. Drink as much liquid as you want, but you must not have sugar or milk, and no food for 2 weeks. At the end of 2 weeks, the doctors were monitoring him. Everything was fine. Blood tests were fine. And they said, Mr. Angus, you've lost a lot of weight. Congratulations. Now the experiment is over. You can go back to your normal way of living. And Angus said, no, I feel great. I feel fantastic. I'm going to continue fasting. And the doctor said, no, you can stop now. I said, no, I feel great. Because guess what? When you're fasting, your body begins to burn the fat stores and release what we call ketones. And the body actually functions really well on ketones. So this man fasted for 382 days, a human being like you, and lost 125 kilograms. So the moral of the story is this: missing food for a few days is not as scary as it sounds. It helps you take control of your cravings and helps you control your weight. Okay, so I just want to quickly introduce you to a special hormone called insulin. Insulin is a hormone in the body that helps us to store food. So when you eat, insulin comes out to mop up all the food and store it as fat, okay? So when you eat, insulin levels go up. When you don't eat, insulin levels come down, okay? So when insulin is not there, the body gets the signal that there's no food coming in. You've got to burn your stores. You've got to burn the fat stores. You've got to tap into the energy you already have. So when you're fasting, it can be a safe and effective way to reduce your insulin levels and enable fat release. High insulin levels, which is what we find in our modern day living, is responsible for lots of illnesses, metabolic syndrome, what we call metabolic syndrome. It causes lots of acne, spots, it causes polycystic ovaries, and a whole host of illnesses because we are constantly eating, so our insulin levels are high, and high insulin level is poisonous. People's health dramatically improve once they get this principle. I've done this chat with some people, and they did it, and their insulin levels just dropped. And oh my goodness, they felt so good. So fasting can be in various forms. I won't go into it. It's a big topic, Mrs. Ojo, but I want you to choose what works for you. Okay, you can start with what we call intermittent fasting. What do I mean? That means that instead of having your breakfast at 7 o'clock, 7 a.m. or 8 a.m., you shift it forward. So you can decide to now have your breakfast at 12 midday, so that your next meal is your dinner. That is intermittent fasting. That means you have shortened your eating window. Your meals are now between 12 noon and maybe 8 p.m. that day, something like that, okay? And you can keep pushing it gently, gently. You can even do what we call work week fasting. I found work week fasting to work so well with so many professionals that I've dealt with, because they are busy during the week anyway. So they can actually find that they can miss meals during the week more easily. So they have their last meal on a Sunday night, and then nothing else to eat till Friday evening. And they're amazed that they can do it. They're still drinking lots of water. You must drink. None of this fast is dry, okay? You must keep hydrated. If you don't drink, you may appear to be losing weight, but it's actually that you're getting dehydrated. So you see, you're just deceiving yourself. You need to drink. So, quick tips, hear me, okay? Your body is always speaking. The body is saying, hear me. Listen to your body if you're going to do this fast, okay? When you eat something that doesn't work, your body is not happy with, you have diarrhea. That's the body speaking. That's the body saying, oh, I don't like this. Don't eat me again. Don't eat this again. But sometimes we ignore our bodies because we like the taste of whatever it is we're eating, and we keep eating it and harming our bodies. But let's learn to listen to our bodies, okay? Hear your body. Consult an expert. They are experts for a reason. And you need an expert because you might find that as you're fasting, You need to start reducing some of your medicines. You might find that your diabetes becomes so much better. Your blood sugar just improves dramatically that you just need one tablet for your blood sugar, Mrs. Ojo. Or you might find that your blood pressure is coming down nicely, that you don't need all your blood pressure tablets. So an expert, that is a medical doctor, can keep an eye on things for you as you do your fasting, okay? Break light. Don't go and eat a massive bowl of eba, or swallow or something like that when it's time to eat. Break light. Look for some watermelon, nibble on some cucumber, just something light, or have a drink first. Why don't you drink a smoothie? So break your fast with something easy. Then remember your 60% you must drink when you're fasting. At least 6 glasses of water, okay? Then gradually it's good, like you shift your eating window, you try and shift your breakfast to 12 midday. Then if you feel good the other day, you can shift it to 1 p.m., to 2 p.m. So you get to a point where you're eating just once a day or something like that. This, you can decide to do that 2 times a week. There's no fixed rule. You can have a plan that is tailored for you, something that works for you. So I had a 12-week review with Mrs. Ojo at the end of the period, and she had lost a whopping 18 kilograms. 18. Her goal had been 12 kilograms. Remember from where we started, she did 18 kilograms. Her diabetes was reversed, so she didn't need her diabetic medication, and she proved that diabetes is not a life sentence. It's not something that you have to put up with. She was no longer depressed because, of course, having shed 18 kilograms, she was looking great, so she was happy with herself. She was now only on 1 medication for her blood pressure. Her joint pains had gone, her migraine had gone, her medication had reduced from 36. Remember, we started from 36 tablets daily to only 5. And she was a very happy woman indeed. Now, I've shared a lot of tips because I want you listening to me to be able to pick something and go with it. There must be something you picked up during this webinar that you can begin to work on right away, because I believe you can do these things. You can. However, if you feel that you need a bit of help, a bit of hand-holding, then you can contact me on my email there. My special areas are diabetes and obesity. I can make a tailor-made plan for you. I can read through your medical records, send me your medical records, and we can plan out something that will help you. But I've shared so much because I want you to be able to do these things yourself. You can do it. But if you do need some hand-holding, contact me. So I'll end with this quote. Good health is nothing more than a few healthy habits practiced every day. A few healthy habits. Pick something, a few habits, and run with it. Go with it every day. Do your 30 minutes exercise every day. So just keep at it. That is the definition of good health. Nothing more than a few healthy habits practiced every day. So I hope you have found this useful. I know there are questions, so I'll stop so far. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you.
Wow, Dr. Adaeze, thank you so much for these wonderful strategies shared so far. I mean, it's been a quite interesting and insightful a presentation so far, and ending with that good health habits. Good health is nothing more than, small habits practiced every day. So I will try to, just highlight some of the key takeaways for me from the session so far. I really like the comment around intermittent fasting and work week fasting, and I also have a question with regards to that, because you have mentioned that one, with regards to the intermittent fasting, one can actually move their breakfast to 12 noon, and and then you could have another meal at about 8 p.m., and then slowly you begin to reduce how much you eat. But there's also a saying, or words out there saying that breakfast is the most important meal. To be honest, I struggle with that. I struggle with understanding why people are advised to have breakfast when they're looking forward to losing weight. And you're the first person I've actually heard, or maybe it's my interpretation, from, moving breakfast to much later at 12 noon. What are your thoughts around these sort of conflicting ideologies with regards to breakfast?
Okay, thank you so much for raising that. That's such an important question, and I know a lot of people will be asking that too. Now, most people will find out your own person. Let's start with your own personal experience. That when you wake up, you're not particularly feeling hungry. That is the truth. So over the years, we've been indoctrinated to think that we must have breakfast because guess what? The people selling their breakfast cereals want you to buy their cereals. So they want to convince you that if you don't have your breakfast, you're going to die. It's not true. It's a marketing gimmick. It's just you try it yourself. So it's just something that came along the time. In the past, people were fine. They'll get up and go to the farm. Remember, they'll farm till midday when the sun is hot. That's when they will now stop and then have a meal. And they were fine. So this breakfast thing was just a story that came along the line by especially the cereal makers to convince you that if you don't have your breakfast cereal, you're going to drop dead. It's not true. Medically, there's no reason for a breakfast. If you feel well, try it yourself. Try it and see how you feel. I hope that answers your question.
Actually, it does answer my question, because I have found out that most of the time I lose weight is
Mhm.
when I don't, have breakfast. I basically move my meals to much later. But when you keep hearing these different ideologies around not having breakfast could impact your health adversely, then it makes you want to get more clarity. But you have gotten the response from you. Thank you so much. So just looking at some of the comments in the box, earlier you had asked where people were dialing in from. We have a couple of people dialed in from Lagos. We have someone from London. We have
Wow.
someone from Canada. We
Great.
also have someone from India, So we,
Wow.
we, we have quite a diverse audience here. And there are a couple of questions in the chat box, and I think maybe you may have answered this particular one, but I will still say it out so that if you have additional techniques that the person can take away, then you could highlight that. So Jessica asked, what are some of the important techniques for maintaining your body weight? So I know you had mentioned losing weight and all, so right now she's asking more around maintaining what you already have. So what are some of the techniques that you have?
Okay, so I'm assuming you're at the right weight for you. You just want to maintain, to stay at that weight. Okay, so your situation is quite a good one because all you need to do is to aim to eat about the same thing every time. Okay, so if you're at your right weight for you and you can do a rough calculation. Your calorie requirement is 1,000 calorie every day to maintain that weight. Then just roughly stay. You can do a food chart, what I call a food diary. Notice what you eat in over 3 days, something like that. And if that maintains your weight, then you just repeat. Just repeat. There's no magic to it. Just do the same thing. Eat similar meals. Stay within that range, and you will maintain that weight. Okay. The problem is that people lose weight. They get to their goal weight, and they don't keep doing the same thing. They go back to their old habits. So of course they're going to add weight, you know.
Yeah.
Or people start an exercise regime, they're going jogging every 2 days or so. Yeah. So they get to their right weight, they're happy, and they drop the jogging. But it's the jogging
Mhm.
that got you there. That's why I'm saying
Mhm.
the healthy lifestyle is that repeated action. You're keeping at it. It's a lifestyle. You enjoy it. That's why I say it has to be something you enjoy so that you're not feeling like you're being forced to do it. Okay, I hope that answers that.
Yes, thank you, Dr. Adaeze. I mean, it also brings me back to, the Mrs. Ojo that you used for
Yes.
this part, and I see a Mrs. Ojo in almost every one of us, whether it's with regards to diabetes, trying to manage diabetes, or trying to manage your weight, or mental health. There's a Mrs. Ojo in every single one of us, and I really like the comment around doing what you enjoy. For example, you don't have to look at that person who is carrying all the weightlifting in order to lose weight. You can do dancing, just look for that thing that you solely like to do, and basically use that as a means to lose weight. So going to sleep, there's a question around, you had mentioned, getting the recommended sleep every day. You said 7 to 8 hours every day. So this question was actually from me. I had to put it in the chat box so that I don't lose or forget to ask the question. So can one cumulate all the sleep? So if I have maybe say 5 hours cumulatively at night and I have another 2 hours in the daytime, can I say that yes, I've met the recommended 7 hours sleep?
Good question there. So the ideal thing is to sleep at a stretch, okay? Because there are actually processes the body goes through. There's what we call REM sleep, non-REM sleep. So there's actually a process, and that's why those hours are needed. Now, if you're doing it in small amounts, then the full impact of the healthy sleep may not be felt, you see, because the body is trying to get into these different stages of sleep. There's this stage, there's that stage, and so on, However, if that's all you can manage, because I know our lives are so different and varied, you understand, what works for me may not work for you, then yes, do try to still complete the hours. It might be that you can do 5 hours sometime and then 3 hours sometime, but all within a 24-hour period, okay? So in that 24-hour period, try to complete at least 7 hours of sleep, hopefully all at once, or maybe in 2 sets. The ideal thing is to just run through it. So the body actually does the job it needs to do. It needs that amount of time.
Okay. All right. Thank you for that. There's a question here on coffee. You had mentioned coffee, right?
Okay.
And I know that some people are quite addicted to coffee, right? And somebody, I guess this person is just probably in a dilemma and saying, okay, how much coffee, per day is recommended for an adult? Is there any recommended or minimum or maximum that one can still take and still maintain a healthy life?
Okay. Yeah. So it's suggested, coffee. And some of the research have actually shown some benefit from coffee. The actual proper coffee beans, do have some health benefits. Okay. However, only up to a certain amount. It's recommended not more than 3 to 4 cups of coffee a day, and preferably in the first half of the day. Okay. I want you to be aware that even when the container says decaffeinated coffee, there's still some caffeine in it. It's not 100% decaf. So if you're still drinking it by 8 p.m., you are getting some caffeine. And even though you might sleep, the quality of the sleep, because sleep is not just about quantity, you want good quality sleep. You can sleep for 7 hours and you have nightmares throughout. You've not really slept, you understand? So the quality is important too, as well as the quantity. So coffee, definitely do not exceed 4 cups a day. And some other people are more sensitive to coffee. They should not even drink more than 2 a day, you understand? So we're all different.
Yeah, so basically listen to your body and align your actions with regards to that. Okay, still on sleep, there's a question around how do you prevent waking up intermittently after you have started to sleep? Is there anything that one could do? Some people struggle with sleeping at a stretch of time. So is there any advice you have for such people?
Right. It's important to try and find out why you're waking up. There are so many reasons. Okay. One could be depression. If people are depressed, they tend to what we call early morning waking. They tend to wake up in the early hours of the morning and remember their issues, and they start thinking about it, and they're unable to get back to sleep. Okay. Some could be getting up because they are needing to pee all the time. You go, you get, so you feel you need to pee, you go and pee, you come back. Just as you're dropping off, you need to pee again. So again, it's looking at it. Why are you peeing so much? Do you need to get your blood sugar checked? Because diabetes can make you pee a lot, or is it a urine infection, or is it a prostate problem in men? If your prostate is pressing on your bladder, then your sleep will be interrupted because you will need to keep getting up to pee. So it's a difficult one to answer because it has multifactorial problems. So it needs an expert to listen to your story and see what might be causing it. Okay, it might be that even simple things, you get too hot, or you're at menopause. People who are menopausal will tell you they get hot flushes, suddenly a swim of hot flush, and that can wake you up, and then you're struggling to get back to bed. So it's quite diverse, the causes.
Okay, thank you for that. So we have a comment just in the chat box collaborating and agreeing with you on the standing desk. So that's good to see that some people are already using that to stand for
Great.
life, like
That's
you
great.
said. Yeah.
Especially if you have hip problem, because just imagine we're all seated for long periods. So in that sitting position, yeah, your hip muscles, just where your hip meets your tummy, that area, it's always in this position because you're seated, okay? But with a standing desk, it actually has a chance to unfold. And people find that when they've been standing for a while, that actually heals up this hip pain. There are people, when they sit, they actually sore. It's because of the tight sitting muscles that are never getting a chance to be straightened. Your muscles need to move, be free to move. So the standing desk is great. Give it a try. If you're head of an organization here, please lead there was a time where I wanted to champion it, to say that every organization that makes people sit for hours in a meeting ought to provide their staff with standing desks. So if you're a manager here, go and tell them that Dr. Adaeze said, can we get standing desks for our staff? It will help their health. Okay.
Okay. All right. So the other question is around shapewears. So you had talked about belly fat and all. So this question is around, a lot of businesses are promoting different shapewears that assist people to lose belly fat. And, of course, like they say, it will help you to snatch back. So what are your thoughts about, losing belly fat using shapewears?
Yeah, I mean, if you see from what I described about with the firewood and things, yeah, what you're simply doing with the shapewears is remodeling, remodeling where the fat is. It's not taking it away. You understand? Maybe you're
Yeah.
packing it tighter into the spaces, or maybe you're shifting it around. It's getting tucked even further up under the liver or wherever. That wouldn't take away the fat. Okay, so I mean, one can use those things. Maybe you have an occasion, you want to look better, you want to fit into your clothes. That's fantastic. That's great. Okay, but don't depend on it as a way of losing the belly fat. It doesn't do that. It simply pushes things into different other spaces.
So, but so if you were exercising with a shapewear or without a shapewear, is there any difference to how much you would lose?
No, I don't see how. No, and I wouldn't exercise with a shapewear. You understand? You're restricting yourself in a way that may not be right for the sort of exercise you're doing. But
Yeah.
again, it's good to speak to a professional if you're doing things like that. I wouldn't wear a shapewear, unless, of course, you need to hold your body parts. For example, if you
Like they
have
were coming
really
apart.
Yes, exactly. If you have really heavy breasts, for example, then it's useful to wear something that holds things together, so that you can move in a more in an easier way. But you're not holding it in the sense of that being what will help you lose weight.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So
Thank
good to
you.
invest in good sportswear. You have to wear the right stuff, even like sports shoes. Some people are ready to buy their hair, spend heaps of money on makeup and things. But to invest in a good sportswear is difficult for them, or sports
Mm.
shoes. You need to spend money on your health. Get the appropriate footwear so that not after you've been out walking, you've caused a lot of blisters on your foot. That's going to discourage you from going next time. But if you have
Indeed.
the right wears, it might be costly, but it's worth it. You'll be able to do these things, do your exercises more comfortable. comfortably. Yeah.
Thank you for that clarification. So there's a comment so I guess this person was just responding to your comment on being intentional, and if you're about to take a bottle of Coke, sit back and think about how much energy is going to be required from you to be able to lose the calorie from that bottle of Coke. So my question is around, how do we know, how, so you could easily show on your slide how much miles per hour you need to run, and the number of hours required for you to lose the calorie that you may have gained from that.
Yeah.
Is there any resource you could share with us that can help us with that whole calculation of knowing how much exercise you need to do in order to burn off fat or calories from what you're about to take?
Yeah, there are lots of apps out there, that give you these things. There's Fitbit. Fitbit is really good for giving you sort of the calories of food. You might not find your native food in it. However, there are lots of native, even jollof rice is there now. So there are different native foods you can now find, or think of the equivalent. Think about something, an English food that is sort of equivalent to, for example, for your eba, you might be thinking of potato starch, potato flour. So you can use an equivalent to give you an idea. Or even Google, just type into the chat how many calories are in McDonald's burger. It will come up. It may not be 100% accurate, but it will give you an idea. So there are lots of resources out there. I use a Fitbit, but I'm sure there are lots of good ones. Even your phone, a lot of the phones just have a health app. You don't need to pay for it. It comes with your phone, and it will have those sort of resources.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. So there's a question on, water, right? Can I use other liquids like tea to replace water?
Right. Yes, you can. You can. However, I wouldn't replace water completely. Okay. I know some people struggle with drinking water, and for them, I say yes, you can flavor it a bit, and you might find that just adding a few grains of coffee, colors gives it a nice color, and you're more willing to drink. So you just put a little coffee, but actually the main thing is water. So by all means, if that helps you to drink, go for it. Okay. Some people like to put slices of cucumber or whatever, lemon. If that helps you to drink, that's fine. But you do need to make sure some of those glasses is water. So instead of your 6 cups of fluid being 6 coffees, you can have your 3 coffees and 3 water. Do whatever you need to do to make yourself drink. It will really help your health. Yeah.
Okay.
And when I
This
say
question,
drinks,
okay.
I'm not talking about fizzy drinks. Oh my goodness. If you're working on your health, you have no business with fizzy, sugary drinks. Please don't take them, or take them really sparingly. I know there are lots of Coke fans here. So yes, you can take your Coke as long as you can burn it, what I've explained, but not more than once in a while.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so still on breakfast.
Yeah.
So there's a question around, and I think it's based on the ideologies that have been, shared with regards to breakfast in the past. So this person asked, how do you not have breakfast and step up your metabolism? So it seems like having breakfast helps one, or that has been sold in our minds, that having breakfast helps you to step up your metabolism. So now that you're advising that we delay breakfast, how, is there any impact on our metabolism? How do we step up our metabolism even when we're not having early breakfast?
Okay, so your metabolism it can be stepped up in different ways. It's not just food. Yeah, when you eat food, yes, your system has burned the food, so there is some activity going on. Okay, but even a fast walk will get your metabolism up. A fast walk will do that. So it doesn't have to be food. It's not eating breakfast is not essential for keeping up your metabolism. And if you feel you have a slow metabolism, it will be good to get a blood test done. for your thyroid. The thyroid gland is a gland in the neck that powers up the system. Some people find that they are really slow and sluggish. They struggle to lose weight. It might be because your thyroid gland isn't working well. It is the organ that fires up the system. So if you feel you're a bit sluggish, you're struggling, you're doing all the right stuff, but you're not managing to lose weight, please get a blood test. Tell the doctor you want your thyroid tested. You might be surprised what you find out.
Wow, interesting. Thanks for that insight, Dr. Adaeze. There is a question still on breakfast, dinner and all. So there's a question around, so there's the latest, what is the latest one should eat dinner? There is this talk about eating dinner quite early.
Yes, yes. We recommend eating dinner early. Okay. So because when you eat at night, you leave yourself less chance to burn off you're not as active as during the day. So if you eat and then you're off to bed, then all the energy from that food is going to be stored. There's no chance to burn it at all. Yeah, so we encourage people to eat a bit early if you can. And if you're doing your intermittent fasting, so you're deciding, okay, I'm just going to eat my noon meal and my 6 p.m. meal, something like that, then it means that from 6 p.m. you've had your meal, you're not going to eat anything else again till the next day, 12 noon. So that can be quite long. And that's why you need to pace yourself, see what works for you. But it's something you can easily, people do it, honestly, it's easy to do. If you're the sort of person who is still awake till midnight, for example, because you have stuff to do, then you can decide to shift your window to match the fact that you're up late at night. Okay, so you can now you're having your meal at 2 p.m. and 8 p.m., something like that. Yeah, then after that, you're not eating. If you feel hungry later on, just have a drink first. It might be that that's all you need. Because we haven't listened to our bodies for so long, we don't even know what it's telling us. Whenever you feel your tummy rumble, you think it's food. It may just need water. It may not need anything. It might need you to walk around. There's some air trapped in the tummy that needs to get out. By the time you walk around, you find the wind go out from you. So it's listening to those signals and knowing what they represent. It's not always about food. Okay.
Indeed. Thank you for that. There is another question, a comment and a question. So we've had sports people drop dead, so could it be that, okay, what could be the reason, since they appear to be really fit? I mean, they are sports people. Could it be too much exercising? Why? Why do
Yeah,
we have sports people here drop
that
dead?
question keeps coming up, and it's sad because it frightens people, when they hear, oh, this person was running and they dropped dead. I want to start by saying, first of all, that those are really isolated cases. It's something once in a while you hear about. In fact, the only footballer I remember was Okwaraji that died. I don't know if you know any other one. You understand, the cases are far between and isolated. And oftentimes it's because of there's a medical condition whereby the heart rhythm goes off because of the way the person's heart is structured. So in those sort of people, it might be something to do with that. But it's such a rare thing that I don't want anybody to be scared of by that. It could also be simple things. Maybe the person is so dehydrated, not having enough fluid. So maybe the sun is quite hot. Recently in UK, I think maybe a year or two ago, these were actually soldiers. They were marching, but it was quite hot. And one of them just dropped dead. And the finding was that the person had been quite dehydrated. They shouldn't have been out marching in that hot sun. You understand? So it can be things like that. But these situations are so far in between that, I don't want you to be put off. If you have medical problems and you are intending to do some rigorous exercise, then please speak to a health professional. They'll be able to direct you. If you've come from a family where people suddenly died, then you need to be checked out. That congenital condition, they can do a scan and so on, some genetic blood tests to see if you have that condition. But like I said, it's really, really rare.
Okay, we have lots of questions. There's this question around insomnia. How can one deal with insomnia?
Yeah, we've sort of mentioned that the cause has to be tackled. Okay, the cause of the insomnia. Insomnia means you're not able to sleep. So I've said already that there are lots of causes. So we need to find out what exactly is the problem. If you're so worried, your mind is on the go, on the go, on the go, you're depressed, you might need to speak to a counselor, or a psychologist or a doctor. You might need some help with the way you're thinking. And occasionally, people do need sleeping tablets. It might be that your sleeping pattern is just so bad now, and we can give you tablets to take for a while to be able to reestablish a sleeping pattern. So if you had a sleeping tablet for 5 days, so one every night for 5 days, so you're actually getting sleep every day for 5 days, then you might find that your body then resets itself and then continues. So you're not needing the sleeping tablet endlessly. So occasionally we do that to push your body back into pattern. Okay, but if you're not sleeping because of a medical condition, that needs to be sorted. If you're not sleeping because you're depressed, you might need medication. I know people don't want to hear about medication. I teach on that in a mental health webinar, so that's a big and separate topic. But yes, the root cause, you need to find what the root cause is and tackle that.
Okay. And the very last question we have is around um, if food is very necessary for taking medication. What are your thoughts?
Yes, so some medication need food. Okay. Let me give you a simple example. For example, a tablet like ibuprofen, those sort of tablets need you to eat because they irritate the tummy, you see. So they shouldn't be taken on an empty tummy. But a lot of other medicines don't need you to eat. So it depends on the type, for example. Yeah. It depends on the type of medication. There's some that you need to eat, but many of, like paracetamol, you can take paracetamol even if you haven't eaten for 100 days. It doesn't need food to work. Yeah, so there are some specific ones the doctor will say, or the medicine will say, take after food. Others will even say, take before food. So those ones, if you take them with food, the food will stop the medicine from working well. So it depends on the tablet it is. Read the leaflet, see what it says. The medicine will say, take before food or take with food, to give the right instruction. Okay, so that shouldn't stop you. If you want to fast, it's just about finding out how does this work with my medication.
Okay, I think there's one last question, and this will be the last one that we will take.
Mhm.
Is there a place for protein supplements in a weight loss journey?
Right. Okay. So protein supplements are like meal replacements. Okay. So they've been formulated in such a way as to replace your meal. And they can be useful for people who are struggling to make the transition from unhealthy eating to healthy eating. Okay. So they are trying to transition to improve their diet, but they're not yet there. Okay. So it's like a stopgap. It's something you can take instead of your breakfast, for example, or take instead of your lunch. Don't take the protein shake and also take your breakfast. That's two meals, and you defeated the aim. So they can be useful if you're trying to make that transition, but it's not something you can sustain. We don't expect you to take protein shakes forever and ever. You do need to reach a point where you're comfortable making healthy meals that work well with your body. So they can be useful as an initial step to get you going.
Okay. And I think that's about it for the Q&A section. Thank you so much, Dr. Adaeze, for the very powerful and quite insightful presentation on how we can achieve our health goals. I mean, we've talked about virtually almost all aspects of health, from sleep to relaxation to mental health to our food, and of course our behaviors around what we eat and what we do, and knowing that a good health is nothing more than those small steps of habits that we take every day or that we make every day towards achieving our health goals. So thank you so much for such a wonderful presentation. We do appreciate you. So right now we'll be going into and I'm sure our participants have learned quite a lot from today's session. Would like to, in a few minutes, we'll be closing up the session. But before we close up the session, we have a few activities, upcoming activities for SPE Lagos section. We have our February technical meeting coming up, which is on managing abandonment issues in the Nigerian oil and gas industry. And this will be on the 25th of February. Please mark this date, save this date on your calendar, and be ready to join us again for another impactful session. In addition, we have our YP training workshop also coming up. This is basically on introduction to web application development. So please look out in our social media platforms, look out for our emails where further details of this workshop will be shared. And please just stay connected with SPE Lagos through various social media handles from LinkedIn all the way to YouTube, as well as Facebook and Instagram. And just stay connected for more programs and activities coming up for the session. Thank you once again and have a good rest of the weekend. Stay safe as always. Thank you.